What's happening, y'all? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? I actually wanted to come home and kind of talk about this stuff. I had to like will myself out of a bad mood and somewhat just be just have just be graceful in the face of such a tragic event that took place yesterday, as a matter of fact. I'm even starting to stream early. Well, look at that. First of all, before we even go off into what it is that I want to talk about tonight, I got to say this, man, because I want to say condolences, right, to each and every single individual that was affected by what it is that transpired yesterday over there in Washington D.C. I think it's the human thing to do. Of course, it isn't something that affected me directly, but it's something that caused great sadness. You know what I mean? Like I was really sad uh, due to this situation, and not only due to this situation because the events that took place, they were bad enough, right? But the president's handling of the situation is also um I want to say a cause for concern, but it's even deeper than that. That's the sad part about it, is that it's even deeper than that. And my criticism of this will be, you know, at what point at what point is this gentleman going to take some sort of accountability? Um at what point is Trump going to take accountability for some of the things that is happening in the nation? You know, I want somebody, anybody, to show me a point in time where Trump has taken accountability, where Trump has not blamed someone else for something that has happened under his watch. Um, Again, this tragedy is not, it's not grounds for people to try to politicize, right? And if we're talking about, leadership, one would expect the leaders of a country like America to take accountability. He mentioned Obama and he mentioned Joe Biden, right? I'm going to tell you something about Obama and Joe Biden. I know that had this tragedy taken place under Obama or Joe Biden, because they understand what it means to be a leader, because they understand that not only are they a leader for their political party, for the people that voted for them, but they're a leader for all Americans. And to some extent, leaders in this world as well. So, you know what they would do in a situation like this? Joe Biden, Barack Obama, two people that Trump decided that he wanted to blame for the situation. You know what they would have done? They would have first and foremost addressed the families. They would have addressed the situation. They would have spoken about how tragic it was, and they would have expressed some level of concern for the families involved in the situation. They wouldn't make it about them. They wouldn't politicize it. They wouldn't point fingers, especially given that there is no evidence. No, at that time, especially, there was even less evidence of what it is that transpired. Of course, they're getting closer to a conclusion. My only hope is that the conclusion is as close as it can possibly be to what actually transpired, because that's going to be something that's going to be important for closure for the family of the individuals that were involved in this situation. I sat there, and here's the thing, because we're becoming numb to the foolishness. And when I say numb, I don't mean, oh, we see the foolishness and it's something that we're just turning a blind eye to. No, we see it, but we expect it, right? So the foolishness is something that we're starting to expect from our quote unquote leaders, right? Why are we expecting foolishness, plain and simple tomfoolery from our leadership, right? Now, here's the thing. Again, I've never been the one to put anyone on a pedestal, no matter who that person is, right? And when it's all said and done, I'm not going to sit up here and say that Biden or Obama were perfect, because everybody has their flaws. No matter who it is, even inspired people have flaws. It just is what it is. That's just how things are, right? But when you're again in a position of leadership, there absolutely has to be accountability. There's no way around that. I want to get into a few things here because there was quite a bit that was happening today. All right. So first of all, I think a good place for us to start would be, hold on one second. Okay, so it didn't popularize in my notes yet. Objective perspective. No. Okay. All right, so it didn't populate in my notes yet because I did it through my phone, but it is what it is. I'm quite sure we'll be able to find it from here. So just hang on. Give me a second, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I was looking for. Oh yeah, well, we'll be here. I'll tell you what, we'll just do it the old-fashioned way. So we're gonna get into right now. We're gonna get into what it is that this person has said. What he said at the press conference addressing the tragedy that happened in DC. And once again, honestly, I want to send my condolences out to those individuals that are going through it, the family of the individuals that passed away in this tragedy in DC, because that's just you don't wish that on anyone. But just give me a second. Let me just pull up this tab. Hold on. There we go. So again, we want to speak about accountability, right? We're going to listen in, right? I don't want this to be something where it's like, I don't want to tell people what it is that they should be thinking. I don't want to put words in people's mouths or any of that sort of stuff, right? I want people to actually think for themselves. I want people to, um, you know, listen to the evidence that we do have here. And I want people to arrive at their own conclusion about what it is that's happening. Of course, we're all going to maybe have a different sort of conclusion, but this isn't something where I'm not going to lie to myself about it, right? We're going to take things at their face value. We're not going to sugarcoat it. We're not going to put a twist on it. We're just going to go off what it is that's being said right here. Okay. So listen.
We must have only the highest standards for those who work in our aviation system. I changed the Obama standards from very mediocre at best to extraordinary. You remember that. Only the highest aptitude, the highest intellect, and psychologically superior people were allowed to qualify for air traffic controllers. That was not so prior to getting there. When I arrived in 2016, I made that change very early on because I always felt this was a job that, and other jobs too, but this was a job that had to be superior intelligence. And we didn't really have that, and we had it. And then when I left office and Biden took over, he changed them back to lower than ever before. I put safety first. Obama, Biden, and the Democrats put policy first. And they put politics at a level that nobody's ever seen because this was the lowest level. Their policy was horrible and their politics was even worse. So, as you know, last week, long before the crash, an executive order restoring our highest standards for air traffic controllers and other important jobs throughout the country. So it was very interesting. About a week ago, almost upon entering office, I signed something last week that was an executive order, very powerful, on restoring the highest standards of air traffic controllers and others, by the way. Then my administration will set the highest possible bar for aviation safety. We have to have our smartest people. It doesn't matter what they look like, how they speak, who they are. It matters intellect, talent, the word talent. You have to be talented, naturally talented geniuses. You can't have regular people doing that job. They won't be able to do it. But we'll restore faith in American air travel.
Normally in
So we're not going to put a twist on anything that it is that he said just now. Like you heard him there talking about they have to be intelligent and superior and a whole bunch of rigmarole and word salad in which no one is going to put incompetent people to be in charge of something so important, right? But there's also something else that I also want to get into as well, right? Because I never looked into the FAA. I didn't I didn't even know what the FAA was, to be completely honest with you. But then I had came across an article, right? And I came across an article from, and I really wanted to share it with you guys. The same, and the article was dated last year sometime, right? So the article that I wanted to come speak to you guys about came up. It came to my attention this year, well, obviously today, but it was dated back to like December the 12th or something like that. And they were talking about the FAA, the chief of the FAA, right? And how the chief was fired, right? After Elon Musk told him to resign. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go into this other tab and we're going to break this situation down. We're going to talk about this right here because these things are important. These things are very, very important. And I'm not even entirely sure what this guy right here, right? The one that went across the stage and did what he did. I think we all know what it is that he did, regardless of how people try to gaslight us into believing that we didn't see what it is that we saw. But this individual right here, right? We're just going to call him an individual, right? This individual right here, this guy right here, right? As you can see, look at what the headline says. FAA administrator quit on January 20 after Elon Musk told him to resign. Now, again, this is something that, did I say December 12th? It was last month that I saw it. And I think it was something that was brewing for a number of months. It's not something that just happened overnight, right? So the administration that was coming in already had their plans about what it is that they wanted to do. But when things hit the fan, based on what it is that they did, right? They passed the blame. I've yet to ever see Donald Trump take accountability for something that happened, whether it be under his watch, whether it be something because he was leading something. I've never seen it. I've never ever seen Donald Trump take accountability for anything. If anything ever happens, the responsibility is always passed on to someone else. It's never, oh, you know what? I that's on me. I got to take responsibility for that. How do we make this right? How do we make this right? It's really simple. You're in a position of leadership. It's how do we make this right? How do we fix this? But anyway, let's get into this article. Let's read this article. Let's see what it is the article says. So This article with the dailybeast.com. All right. So the Federal Aviation Administration leader stepped down on January 20th, months after Elon Musk demanded that he quit. So this is months later. Again, like I said earlier, this is something that was months in the making. This isn't just something that just happened overnight. So months before, months after Elon Musk demanded that he quit. And we could also pull up some articles as well that will display more truths about what it is that happened as well, right? So the move by Michael Whitaker means that the FAA has no Senate confirmed leader for one of the biggest crises in its history because he quit before Donald Trump took office. Whitaker ran the FAA for just a year, but announced in December that he would step down on January 20th as the new president was sworn in. Nobody nobody has taken his place. So the leader of the FAA, right, stepped down and the leader was not replaced. And whose watch was that under? I wonder whose watch that was under. He stepped down and what, 10 days ago? What's it, the 30th? 10 days ago, he stepped down. So this is almost 2 weeks ago that he stepped down. And nobody found a replacement. Is that not an important position? Is that not something of importance? Whitaker's departure came after he clashed with Musk, who is now in charge not just of SpaceX, but has been named by Trump as the head of the new Department of Government Efficiency, which is not technically a real government department. Okay. In September, Whitaker had proposed fines of more than $600,000 for SpaceX, prompting Musk to demand his resignation and promise to sue. So here it is right here, right? So, of course, he saw the writing on the wall. He knew that these people were going to make life difficult for him because he was asked by the first buddy, right? Whatever that means, to resign. Here it is, right here, right? He needs to resign, right? And of course, this is Whitaker that you see right here, right? So FAA chief Mike Whitaker gets his facts all wrong in front of Congress, but says SpaceX must operate at the highest. And of course, guess what? He's going to share this because it's something that he agrees with, right? So, because of what it is that happened, or whatever it is that transpired, I don't know what it is that transpired between the two of them, but obviously they have some sort of beef. Well, whatever the beef was or whatever the beef is, one guy took it personal, right? A guy took it personal. Again, don't know what it is. Don't know if it's a situation where he should have taken accountability as opposed to taking it personal. I don't know, right? I don't know the details beyond that. So that's not something that I want to get into. We all know about character issues that some of these people have, but I don't know Whitaker. I don't know him. I don't know what it is that he does. I don't know what his interests are. You know what I mean? So we're just going to go off of what it is that's being said right here. And we're just going to take it at face value from an objective perspective, or as objective as we can possibly get at this point. Whitaker, SpaceX.com reported in September, told congressional committee that the fines were the only tool we have to get a compliance on safety matters. So evidently safety, right? So look at this. So this is what he was saying, that the only tool we have to get compliance on safety matters. So fines, right? So evidently this is something where he fined this individual, right? Due to safety issues, right? Obviously, safety was a big priority by Mr. Whitaker here. Safety was something that was his main concern, right? And this didn't happen under his watch. This did not happen under his watch, right? This is not Mr. Whitaker's fault at all. I'm sure Mr. Whitaker may be thinking that, man, maybe I could have done something had I been in charge still. Maybe that's what it is that he's thinking. But it's one of those things where it's like you feel as if you could just replace people or get rid of people, when in actuality, these are some of the people that you really, really need. Had we had Mr. Whitaker, I am sure the situation that transpired yesterday would not have happened. I am sure it would not have happened. Right? And this goes without even knowing it. Just having someone there that safety is their priority, because again, he hasn't even been replaced. So of course you can only imagine everybody's trying to jockey for position. Maybe there's a lot of people that think there's a vacant position open. There's people that think that it should be them. There's people that look, and we're just speculating here. But 9 times out of 10, that's how these things go, right? There's no sort of leadership. People don't really know what it is that they need to do, but everybody feels like they are best equipped to do the job. And look, evidently no one was doing the job, right? Not going to say that there aren't people that were actually working. I'm sure there were people that were working, but there weren't people that were doing his job, right? So people weren't necessarily held accountable, and this tragedy ended up happening. But Musk had kept up the attacks on X at a time when he was campaigning at Trump's side. On September 17th, he accused Whitaker's agency of harassment, posting, "The FAA Space Division is harassing SpaceX about nonsense that doesn't affect safety, while giving free pass to Boeing even after NASA concluded that their spacecraft was not safe enough to bring back the astronauts." And in a reply to a tweet by the Australian YouTuber who posts videos about space and who has said that the FAA should not exist, Musk accuse Whitaker of, who's the Australian YouTuber? By an Australian YouTuber. Okay, cool. Musk accuse Whitaker of standing in the way of his vision of putting human life on Mars. So him putting human life on Mars, somehow Whitaker is the one that's standing in his way, right? So now he amassed some level of power, whether directly or indirectly. But I don't recall seeing his name on any ballot ticket. As stupid as people that voted for this guy was, I didn't I don't Elon Musk wasn't one of the people that were voted for. But he has all this clout and all this power. And here he is, he got rid of this guy, right? Based on telling him that he should quit. And then the guy decided, you know what? I'm not gonna deal with this. And he's well within his rights to do that. I'm not gonna deal with this. This guy here, he's gonna make life difficult. He's not going to allow me to, actually do my job, right? Because you can already see based on what it is that's happening here, that it's personal with this guy. Like he wants him out of here, right? The FAA Space Division is harassing space. Okay, we already read that part. And in reply to the tweet by the Australian YouTuber, we read that part already. The fundamental problem is that humanity will forever be confined to Earth unless there is a radical reform at the FAA. So, see, How does this stuff sound? He tweeted at Marcus House. So this is Musk that they're saying made these tweets out, right? Whitaker had offered no insight into why he decided to leave the post before the end of his 5-year term in 2028. The United States is the safest and most complex airspace in the world, and that is because of our commitment to safety of flying public. Whitaker wrote in an email sent to staff at the FAA when he quit in December. He called his time at the federal agency the best and most challenging job of my career. Listen, man, you did what you had to do. FAA administrators typically serve a 5-year term, but an administrator stepping down before the end of the term is not unheard of. Stephen Dixon, Whitaker's Trump appointed predecessor, resigned in 2022, just under 3 years after taking the office in 2019. The troubled agency has long struggled to have proper leadership. Whitaker was confirmed 90-0 by senators in October 2023 after a standoff between Republicans and the White House over Joe Biden's first pick, Joe Washington. Acting boss Rochelle, I'm not entirely sure how to say that name, faces a massive crisis for the FAA. Its air traffic controllers are responsible for the safe movement of civilian aircraft and will be investigated to understand how a UH-60 Army Black Hawk could fly into an American Airlines regional jet, which was about to land on one of the country's busiest runways. The FAA had already been wrestling with persistent shortage of the air traffic controllers. So there's already wrestling with safety issues already right here, right? And this week, air traffic controllers were included in Trump's administration's offers of buyouts to all federal workers. The investigation into the crash will be led by independent National Transportation Safety Board, which is chaired by Jennifer Homendy. She has also clashed with Musk over the safety of self-driving software in Tesla cars. Well, there you have it. There you have it. That's who evidently seems as if it's responsible for Whitaker stepping down. Whitaker decided that he's going to step down before this current administration actually steps in, and for that, I don't entirely blame him. I gotta admit that. Someone said in the chat, what his name? Elon paid for the entire campaign, hence being called the co-president. I don't care what he paid for. I understand what it is that you're saying, and I do get what it is that you're saying, 100%. But that shouldn't be something that people could just pay for. Like, you shouldn't be able to pay your way into the White House. You understand what I'm saying? And I understand that the way that I see things may not be how they are objectively, right? But from my perspective, if you're able to pay your way into the White House, then what happens is you get to the point where you start doing all sorts of salutes and misrepresenting, right, what the office is supposed to stand for. You're not an elected official. You're just some guy with some money and evidently some clout, right? To the point where you can do things like that, like what he did on the stage, like where he's standing right here, and get away with it. You could say whatever it is that you want and get away with it. You can endorse far right parties over there in Germany and get away with it and still align yourself with the president, right? In which I don't understand any of it, to be completely honest with you. I don't understand none of it, right? It just does not make sense. How is that a reflection or a representative? How does that represent the country? Such a diverse country. How? You know what I mean? So, yeah, I don't believe anybody should be able to pay themselves into the White House. That just doesn't make any sense to me. And the biggest thing that I want to say about this, because I kind of want to I just wanted to really just touch on that, right? Because you got one guy who's the president refusing to take any sort of accountability for what it is that transpired. Um, you know, and you got another guy who, whether it be directly or indirectly, somewhat really kind of bullied the other guy out, right? Really kind of intimidated the guy to the point where he had to resign, because it's like it's one of those things where it's like an uphill battle. He's probably looking at it like, oh, well, all right, well, I already know the relationship he has with Trump. He was already trying to make things difficult for me when I was only trying to do my job. And now look at this. He's in the White House now. So I already know this ship sailed. And then they failed to get an adequate replacement. So that's the other part about this. They failed to get adequate replacement. But anyway, lack of responsibility. I mean, lack of accountability. No one wanting to take responsibility. And people ended up passing on in a tragic event that never should have happened. And the president gets up there and he's blaming everybody but himself. He's blaming diversity. He's blaming Obama. He's blaming Joe Biden. He's blaming everybody but himself. And as a matter of fact, let's get into that as well, right? Actually, let's actually find that. Let's see if we could actually find that.
And then when I left office and Biden took over, he changed them back to lower than ever before. I put safety first. Obama, Biden, and the Democrats put policy first. And they put politics at a level that nobody's ever seen, because this was the lowest level. Their policy was horrible, and their politics was even worse. So as you know, last week, long before the crash, I signed an executive order restoring our highest standards for air traffic controllers and other important jobs throughout the country. So it was very interesting. About a week ago, almost upon entering office, I signed something last week that was an executive order, very powerful, on restoring the highest standards of air traffic controllers and others, by the way. Then my administration will set the highest possible bar for aviation safety. We have to have our smartest people.
Okay. Well, just last week you took an action. And then this week you took an action when this is something that's unheard of. I certainly haven't heard of something like this happening, especially in recent times. And you took an action last week, and this week this happens. But it's Joe Biden's fault. Hold on.
That was an executive order, very powerful, on restoring the highest standards of air traffic controllers.
Restoring the highest standard of air traffic controllers. Okay.
And others, by the way. Then my administration will set the highest possible bar for aviation safety. We have to have our smartest people. It doesn't
Hold on. Let's go back. Let's
ever seen, because this was the lowest level. Their policy was horrible, and their politics was even worse. So as you know, last week, long before the crash, I signed an executive order restoring our highest standards for air traffic.
So last week you restored the highest standard of air traffic with the order that you signed.
Controllers and other important jobs throughout the country. So it was very interesting. About a week ago, almost upon entering office, I signed something last week that was an executive order, very powerful, on restoring the highest standards of air traffic controllers.
Restoring the highest standards of air traffic controllers. Does that mean better safety? What am I missing here? What exactly am I missing here? Because if you restored the highest standard of air traffic controllers, um, why are we in this situation that we're in right now? I, what am what am I missing? Because this happened last week, right? Last week you restored the highest standards of air traffic control. This week, this week, this tragedy happens. So how is it Obama's fault? How is it Joe Biden's fault? How is it DEI's fault? What is it that I'm missing?
And others, by the way. Then my administration will set the highest possible bar for aviation safety. We have to have our smartest people. It doesn't matter what they look like, how they speak, who they
Doesn't matter what they look like, how they speak, but yet you have a problem with diversity. How does diversity, equity include? What am I missing here? Diversity. Diversity, equity, and inclusion are organizational frameworks which seek to promote the fair treatment and full participation of all people. We'll just end it right there. So, on one hand, you got somebody who doesn't care what you look like. It doesn't matter what it is that you look like. But then on the other hand, you're against diversity? Maybe diversity is the tone of voice. Maybe it's what they sound like that he doesn't like.
And my administration will set the highest possible bar for aviation safety. We have to have our smartest people. It doesn't matter what they look like, how they speak, who they are. It matters intellect, talent, the word talent. You have to be talented, naturally talented geniuses. You can't have regular people doing that job. They won't be able to do it.
Regular people.
But we'll restore faith in American air travel. I'll have more to say.
Is this a regular person that's running the country? I don't know. But you can't have regular people doing other jobs. Or is this a regular person? Do regular people act like this? No. I'm sure in his mind he believes he's extraordinary, though. I'm certain of it.
Say about that, I do want to point out that various articles that appeared prior to my entering office, and here's one. The FAA's diversity push includes focus on hiring people with severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities. That is amazing. And then it says FAA says people with severe disabilities are most underrepresented segment.
Why would they hire people who okay. The gaslighting has to stop at some point. Like it absolutely has to stop at some point. Why would they put people? Hold on.
That is amazing.
Hold on. Listen to what it is that he said. Hold on.
Point out that various articles that appeared prior to my entering office, and here's one. The FAA's diversity push includes focus on hiring people with severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities.
So they're pushing for people with severe psychological disabilities. Oh my God, bro. Think about what it is that this guy's saying right now. Think about what it is that he's saying right now. Think about, like, at this point, he's just doing it on purpose. Nope. With severe. Okay. All right. You know what? We're gonna get off into talking about something else. All right. We're gonna get off and talk about something else. Because this is just one of those things. I cannot believe that this guy actually really won the election. Honestly, I just don't know how that happened. I don't know how that happened. I really do not know how that happened. I don't. I I just don't. There's no way. There's no way. But it is what it is. It is what it is. All right. Let's see if we can get off into something else real quick. Hold on. Let's see something. Hold on. Give me a second, guys. Here we go. All right. There was a point where I could kind of pop out dashboard. Here it is. Pop out dashboard. Okay, cool. All right. So you know what? Off of that, I feel like we said all that we really needed to say. We probably spent a little bit too much time. So bottom line, when it comes to that, we're just gonna say condolences again to the families that of the people that lost someone. I wish the tragedy never happened and that you guys still had your loved ones. Um, but in a time like this, I don't want us to just focus on the words that he's saying. Just know that there are people out there that do want to send you good energy. There are people out there that do want to help you, and there are people out there that will help you, provided you reach out. Um, but it's just one of those things. It's rather unfortunate how this situation, uh, you know, turned out. But you know, it is one of those things. There's nothing that I could really say to really bring back the people that lost their lives. And the only thing that we could really do at this point is come together, and just show some empathy towards one another. And I wish, I wish that certain other people understood that. But yeah. Anyway, um, so as you guys know, right, there's been something kind of happening with ASAP Rocky, right? So this is something that's not of the magnitude of what it is that we just spoke about. But I felt like what we just spoke about is something that we needed to speak about. But now we're gonna speak about what it is that happened with ASAP Relly, right? So I came across something earlier today. Hold on, give me 1 second. Why is this thing going? I came across something earlier today, sort of involving. All right, there we go. All right, cool. It's out of here. Sort of involving that individual, right? And him taking the stand. So we're gonna get into that. Like we took the stand, and it seemed as if he was very, very upset at the lawyer for asking him questions. And mind you, it's not something where like he's on trial, like he's the one that's kind of that's suing someone, right? And I believe that it's yeah, he's suing someone, right? So he's the one that's pressing charges. And maybe this is something traumatic or whatever it is. I don't know why it is that he's acting this way. I could only assume that that's what it is. I don't necessarily know if that's really what it is, but he just seemed kind of annoyed for whatever reason when the lawyers were asking him questions. So let's take a look at what it is that happened.
So you have to prepare for your testimony.
I didn't need to prepare.
You need to prepare.
No.
So you didn't meet your private attorneys at all to discuss your testimony.
I don't need to.
I understand you don't need to. My question was different.
Cause for yes, sir.
Oh, wait, say the question again, Joyce?
You did not meet with your private attorneys who flew here with you in preparation for your testimony.
No, they just here to support me. But I don't need the prep. I don't need the prep.
It's not responsive. Everything after no is sir.
Okay. Now, yesterday, you testified that before the shooting, you had nothing but love for Rocky, right?
Correct.
And you said that.
Listen to what it is that he's saying. Before the situation happened, he had nothing but love for ASAP Rocky. That's what he was just asked by the lawyer.
If you said the word
Just pay attention to how it is that the lawyer asked these questions.
fuck to Rocky, it was with love, right?
I don't know what you mean by that. You gotta explain again.
Oh, I don't. I'll tell you your testimony. Go ahead. Take a look at the screen.
Text messages, I always still like how you say it, like I'm gonna go pick them up for success. At the same time, like you're doing bad. Okay. But then the same text messages, like I never was like just straight out like, oh fuck you. I never said fuck you, probably did, but it was like real wishy-washy in the sense like love, like I don't want to, you know, but I never really got a response to that.
That was your testimony.
Yeah, but you can bring up the actual text message that I'm talking about. We ain't gotta go back and forth.
All right, hold on. When anybody asks you a question, you lawyers, just answer the question. Don't volunteer something. If they want to flesh it out, Mr. Lewin might want to do it, Mr. Tacopina might want to do it, then it's okay. But if you're asked a yes or no question, just the answer is either yes, no, I don't remember, or I don't know. Don't volunteer anything, right?
Can you say that again?
Say yes?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Well, did you hear your testimony?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. And when you said it, I said, fuck you, it was with love, right? That's what you just said.
I don't get what you're saying. Sorry.
What did you hear yourself just say?
I don't get what you're saying.
Here's my question. Here it comes. What did you hear yourself just say?
But what are you getting at? I don't get what you're
Don't
saying.
worry about what I'm getting at.
But just explain it again.
Explain.
I'm getting confused. I'm getting confused.
Just listen.
Why are you on the stand playing stupid, brother? This is not the time to play stupid, young man. Young man, you brought up charges on someone and you have nothing to hide, right? There's nothing that you have to hide. So just answer the question. Just take it easy. Just answer the question. Just relax, bro. Just answer the question. Just answer the questions, brother. That's it.
He's asking you, did you hear your testimony?
Mhm.
Yes? He's just asking you.
Did I say it? Did I say, I don't know. Can you explain the question?
Play it again.
But again,
No, I don't want to this question.
listen to this here.
I know text messages. I always still like how you say it, like compliment them, pick them up for success. At the same time, like you're doing that. Okay. But in the same text messages, like I never was like just straight out like, oh fuck you. I never said fuck you. Probably did, but it was like real wishy-washy in the sense like love, like I don't want to, you know.
He said something along the lines of he ever said the F word to ASAP Rocky was always wishy-washy and with love. Something along those lines. This is what it is that we're hearing.
But I never really got a response to that.
He just wants to ask you questions about what you said that you just saw.
Okay.
Was that truthful testimony?
Truthful, can you explain the question again? I don't know what I'm saying. Yes, I know it's I got
Did you just see yourself
No, but you're not explaining the question.
Here's my question.
I see myself, but you're not explaining. So what I'm supposed to say is
Listen,
say no
listen.
to.
Just listen. You see yourself. Did you see yourself? That's
I see myself.
Did you hear yourself?
I heard myself.
Was that truthful?
What's truthful?
What you just said.
That I love him or like we was cool? I don't know what you mean. I said a lot of things.
The part that you said, if I said, fuck you, it was sort of wishy-washy with love, you know? That part.
Okay, it's true. True.
True.
Yeah.
In fact, on September 18th,
I don't get why it took so much for us to get to that point. I just don't understand, right? Like I just can't understand how it took so much for you to get to that point, brother. I don't get it. What are we doing here? What exactly are we doing here? Are you trying to get to the bottom of things? Are you trying to get to the truth? Because you're coming across as a little bit slow. And he might be playing slow on purpose, but he might be doing this in order to frustrate the lawyer. It may be a strategy of his where he may think that it's a brilliant strategy. But not only are you frustrating the lawyer, you're also frustrating this guy over here. And of course, he's doing a pretty decent job of not showing his frustration. But the very fact that he keeps intervening and telling you and giving you counsel and telling you, hey, listen, answer the question this way. If anything is asked inappropriately, we're going to address it. And blase. Right? Bro, you're not doing yourself any favors. I don't see how you're doing yourself any favors in this situation.
2021, at 8:19 a.m., you text Rocky, fuck everything about you, fake ass gay nigga, right?
Of course not.
Of course not? Okay. Gonna show you gay nigga, right? And you text Rocky, fuck everything about you, fake ass gay nigga.
Yo, that's wild. So this is what it is that happens in court. They just, whatever it is that they read out, they just read it out straight up like that. And in the context of this, I suppose the lawyer is not going to sit up there in court and try to be politically correct. You know, of course, it's sensitive in terms of what it is that he's saying. And I'm never going to make excuses for people just using that word all willy-nilly, but just to kind of give this context, it's one of those things where it's like he's reading the evidence, you know what I mean? And of course, he can have tact, but I don't think they want to leave anything on the table, right? I think they kind of just like when you're trying to paint a picture of what it is that's happening on that side, you're not gonna sort of put you're not gonna pick up the handbrakes, you know what I mean, at a time like this. So yeah, there was a lot of kind of crazy words being said right then and there. I'm not
Right?
Of course not.
Of course not? Okay. I'm gonna show you the text message now. Take a look at that one.
What is it legitimate?
Yes. Vendrelli,
Hold on. This is that's C's in charge.
September 18th, 2021, 8:19 a.m. No matter how much the nigga tried, you not charging anything, changing. Fuck everything about you, you fake ass nigga. I can't hate you. Sucker ass guy nigga that you changed, got to get. Remember sending that message?
Bro, this is in 21.
I understand. Everything we're talking about here today is in 21. Every text message he showed you yesterday was in 21.
Yeah, but you asked me now, do I remember? You're not showing me nothing else that came into the text message, so I probably did right there. Is that for me?
Yes, for me.
Okay, that's cool.
That's cool. Okay. So was that wishy-washy with love when you wrote that?
I mean, you're not showing me the rest of the conversation, so I can't really.
Is that wishy-washy with bro? This dude is playing, bro. You're the one that's suing somebody. He's sitting up there acting as if, bro, you're the one that decided that you were going to press charges and take the stand, right? Everything at this point should be an open book. There should be no sort of nothing. You don't got nothing to hide. Right? This is a conversation. You had this conversation with him, unless there's something else that's going on where you got something to hide in this situation. Why is it so difficult for this guy to answer simple questions? I was about to say stupid questions, but simple questions. Some of the simplest come on, man.
Yes, that was what, yes, sucker ass game. Yes, that was good one. Yes. By the way, before we start talking about the events surrounding November 6th, 2021, which we will talk about, Mr. Efron.
Can you pull up the rest of the text message?
Mr. Efron, here's what we're gonna do. I'll ask the questions, you're gonna answer. Okay, if you can. Before we talk about the events of November 6th, 2021, which you spent 2 days testifying about, I'd like to talk a little bit about you and some things you testified to. Money is particularly important to you, Mr. Efron, correct?
No.
It's not important to you.
I mean, you need it, but no.
Okay. In November 2021, you told people that you were a millionaire, correct?
What?
Bro, you coming across as somebody that's a liar, bro. All right, understand that this is what's happening right now. Right now, what ASAP Rocky's defense team is trying to do is paint the picture that this dude right here is not honest. He can't tell the truth. He's not able to tell the truth. And they're doing a very, very brilliant job at exposing the character of this individual right here, because he's somebody, it just seems as if he can't tell the truth. Right? This is what the strategy is. I'm not going to lie to you. In this case, I would not be surprised if ASAP Rocky went home free. I would not be surprised. And as a matter of fact, we're going to do this stream and we're going to do this again, right? After I end this stream, because I'm going to end this probably like around an hour mark, right? But we're going to run this back because I want to talk a little bit more about this. I'm going to go back on probably like 12:10, 12:05, something like that. And we're going to talk about this more in depth. But we're not going to do this, we're not going to do this with this setup. It's going to be something that's a little bit more intimate. It's going to be me talking directly to you, everyone else that's out there. And yeah, we're going to sit and we're going to talk about this situation. But the defense is trying to show that this guy is an absolute liar, right? Number one, finding the shell casing, and which probably a lot of people don't know, but evidently he found and if you guys watched the last one, because we kind of listen to what it is that they were saying on Law and Crime, the other channel. Evidently, the guy actually found the shell. He went back and picked up the shell casing. Somehow, it eluded. Maybe they had K9s. I'm not entirely sure. It eluded the police officers that was there. It eluded a lot of people. But somehow, he was able to find it when no one else was able to find the shell casing. Right? So now the lawyer, just by asking these questions, he's basically showing the character of the person that we're dealing with right here. Just by asking these questions, the lawyer is slowly, piece by piece, making some chess moves. Right? Dissecting this individual. And because he's such an emotional roller coaster, because he's not a rational person, he's not able to decipher what it is that's going on. Right? It's clear as day. And you can see that the lawyer is really frustrated, right? He's frustrated and he's focused. He's frustrated, but he is also focused at the same time. So all of the little stuff that he thinks that he's doing, because it's almost as if he thinks that he's the only one with the brain at this point. It's just not working. I'm not entirely sure what your strategy. I'm not entirely sure if you had a strategy. but it's looking like you have something to hide. That's from my perspective. It's looking like this guy has something to hide. You ain't got nothing to hide, bro. You're the one that brought up these charges. So just answer the questions. What's the big deal? What's the big deal? So yeah, anyway, I'll be back at around 12:10, right? More intimate. Intimate, is intimate the word? Probably not. But anyway, yeah, you guys get it, right? We're just gonna have a more connected conversation. So I'll see you guys in about 10 minutes.